Have you been told that six-figure incomes are only reserved to real estate agents? Maybe leaving you curious if real estate transaction coordinator is a career that can provide financial security? Let's find out. Hello and welcome back. My name is Cecilia Peralta. I am a virtual assistant, and in this channel I share tips, tutorials, and industry insights to help virtual assistants become successful business owners. First of all, let me start saying that you could potentially go two ways. You could be an in-house transaction coordinator, which most of the time are employees of a brokerage, of a team, of a realtor. Or you can be an independent contractor, TC. The main difference is that when you are an employee, you're definitely going to have job security, or at least you're going to know that every single month you're going to receive the same amount of money. On the other hand, when you are an independent transaction coordinator, you never know how much you're going to make. It depends on you. You will have to get your clients, you will have to make sure your sales pipeline is always full, and you just don't have any job security. So let's spend a couple of minutes discussing how much you can make being an employee. ZipRecruiter reports an average annual salary of $51,997 for virtual coordinators. So let's just establish that on the high end, you could potentially earn $55,000, $60,000 a year. And in the lower end, you might be earning between $30,000, $35,000 to $40,000, $45,000 a year. Obviously, that is going to depend on several factors. Location. Also, it is going to depend on your experience, your expertise. And also if the employer offers you any type of bonuses. I really don't think that you can make $10,000 a month being an employee transaction coordinator. Might be someone out there who is making that type of money, but the majority of the cases, at least I know, you won't be able to reach that goal if you are an employee. And even though you might be getting raises every year because you're such a good employee, you're going to be waiting years in order to get to the $100,000 mark. Now that we get the salary out of the way, let's focus on what happened when you are an independent transaction coordinator. As I hinted before, yes, you're going to remove the cap that you have when you're an employee, because right now nobody is going to tell you how much you can make. It's actually going to be totally up to you. You can make 100,000, you can make 200,000, you can make $1 million. The sky is the limit. You are a business and you can make it grow as much as you can. Now, same as we discussed in the salary employee example, when you are an independent TC, you are going to set your fees based on a couple of different things. First of all, your expertise. If you are a very experienced TC, then you might be able to charge more based on that. And it's going to also depend on location. I personally think that it's not the same when you work, for example, in the state of Florida, where houses are not selling for that much, than when you work in the state of California, that prices are higher. Now, the fees for a TC can vary widely. And what I've seen so far are prices that ranges from $300 to $750. Now, again, those are just ballparks. And there are always exceptions, and there are always people that charges more and people that charges less. So let's work on the math in here. Let's say that you charge $350 per file, which, by the way, is a very conservative type of fee. You will have to close about 29 files per month in order to reach your $10,000 goal. If you just start working as a TC, 29 transactions closed a month might sound like a very high number and kind of difficult to achieve. However, it is totally possible. But there are a couple of things that you need to have in consideration. It is very common that transaction coordinators get paid only if the file closes. It means that if a transaction failed to close for whatever reason, in the most cases, nobody gets paid. The listing agent doesn't get paid. The buyer's agent doesn't get paid. The title company doesn't get paid. The lender doesn't get paid. And guess what? Transaction coordinator doesn't get paid. Now, I'm also aware that some transaction coordinators are, charging a fee to compensate them for the time and effort that they put on the file. Now, I don't think it's the majority of them, but that is definitely possible, and that might be something that you would like to do. Another important thing to mention and to be super transparent is that transactions not always close in 30 days. So some transactions might take 45 days. Some others might take 60 days. It doesn't mean that if you do have a closing schedule for the end of this month, you will get it closed. Not saying it's going to cancel, but maybe it's extending to the next month, leaving you with one less closing for this current month. So I think that if you're aiming to close consistently 29 transactions a month, you should have more than 29 transactions that you're working on and you have a schedule for this month in order to ensure that you're going to hit your goal. And sometimes you might not actually need to close 29 transactions in a month to reach your goal. One way obviously might be to charge more than $350. But if that is not possible or is not the way that you want to take your business, you still have some options. You can have add-ons or you can upsell your services. As a transaction coordinator, you could offer different things, different packages. The same client is going to purchase actually many different services from you. Let me give you some examples. Let's say that you're working with a listing agent who is always on the go and busy with appointments. This listing agent asks you to handle the listing coordination. You offer to handle the creation of a nice graphic for him to post in his social media promoting the new listing. And also you offer to create the flyers for the open house. And then when that property gets under contract, you do the transaction coordination. And at the end, you offer to coordinate a branded gift for this agent to give to the client at the closing table. So how many services did you sell to this agent? You sold the listing coordination, the transaction coordination, the marketing materials creation, and the gift option for the client. So as you can see, this is way more than $350, only from one client. Now, if you're going to aim for high earnings, you need to have the necessary tools. And the first thing that you need to be is knowledgeable, right? Because if you're just starting as a transaction coordinator and if you are just learning the business and learning how to do things and you never deal with a specific situation, then you will spend a good amount of time researching, learning, finding answers instead of managing the files. Another thing that I absolutely recommend is a task management system. You need to have some type of automation. Why? Because if not, you're going to have to do everything manually. It's going to be very repetitive and it's going to take a lot of your time. Also, you need to consider that as an independent TC, you are a business owner and you're going to be responsible for every single aspect of your business. So in these cases, it is recommendable whenever possible, and if you are bringing money into your business, to delegate some of the tasks, to get some help. And that might be in a form of a virtual assistant to take care of certain things in your business, like marketing or bookkeeping, or just general admin tasks, or maybe hiring another TC that can help you with the files. Also, it is important to know how much time you have to allocate to your business. Some people are okay working full time and some others are like, no, that's not for me. I'm actually looking for freedom and I want to only work certain amount of hours a week. Also, as an independent contractor, you are not an employee, and you are responsible for paying taxes. So the 10K a month that we just aiming for is not going to be net, meaning that it's not what you're going to put in your pocket. It's not what you're going to bring home. My recommendation is that you set aside 25 to 30% of what you're making, because you might have to pay taxes based on your own situation. Obviously, talk to your accountant and make plans accordingly. So yes, it is absolutely possible to make $10,000 a month and more. The sky is the limit. You get to grow your business as large as you want to. And please let me know in the comments if you find that information helpful, if you have any type of strategies that can help everyone to reach the 10K a month. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.